What's up, guys? Coconut here with Utopia Games, going over our first deck tech honest review. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a little upset going online, looking on message boards, forums, YouTube, whatever the case may be, looking up a new deck only to find that after I've built it and played it, it's just not working as well as I had hoped. I'm not the best player in the world, but I can usually play a deck well enough to see overall if the deck ends up being good and I can just work on it and try to fix it up, or if the deck just isn't running at all and it was just a bunch of hype, or they edited the video to make it look like it was better than it actually was. I've had quite a few customers come in and complain that they saw a video made by so-and-so. They come in, drop 50-60 bucks on some cards, play in 3 or 4 tournaments just to get obliterated all the time, and then realize that they just wasted a bunch of money on decks that probably weren't the best in the entire world, and maybe they should have play tested them a little bit more, or had the video been a little bit more honest, then maybe they might have just kind of realized, hey, I don't think I want to play this deck. There are, on the other hand, though, there are a lot of videos or articles about decks that have won regionals, that won bigger events or local events, and most of those decks, when you watch videos and play tests on them, you can kind of see that they're solid. They are what they are, and they'll probably do what they're supposed to do and help you get quite a few wins. So there are two sides of that coin, but this video and this video segment is kind of more meant to build some of the decks that are a little less known, try them out, and then give you an honest review on whether they were good or not, and if you should spend your hard-earned money on them. So the first deck we're going to be doing is the Sun and Moon Golduck. He is out and available through a starter deck on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. So you can build this deck now, even though the cards aren't officially out yet. I did build this deck in real life, though, and played it in our local tournaments this weekend. We allowed Sun and Moon cards this week so that everyone can start prepping for the Anaheim Regionals that's coming up in 3 weeks. And if people didn't own the cards, we kind of let them proxy 10 up to 10, just so that people would be able to use their new decks, and also, once again, just to see if the decks are any good and if they should spend the money on those individual cards when they come out in a couple of days. So it was pretty fun. I had a lot of fun in that tournament, and I got to play against a lot of decks that were at optimal builds too, which was pretty nice. So then I could see how this deck actually ran. Anyways, Golduck from New Sun and Moon. He is a 90 hit point stage 1. He has a attack for a colorless that does 20 damage. You generally don't use that attack at all. You are using his 1 water double jet attack. You discard up to 2 water energy out of your hand, and it does 60 times the amount you discard. So if you ditch 1, you're doing 60 damage. If you ditch 2, you're doing 120 damage, which is pretty good all on its own. But when you pair it with the Jolteon and the Flareon here, both of their abilities make stage 1s whatever type you have in play, along with whatever type they already are. So if you have Flareon out, your Golduck now becomes fire and water. If you have Jolteon out, he is now water and electric. And if you have all 3 out, he is fire, electric, and water. So it covers a lot of typing, so you're getting 1-hit KOs instead of 2, which was pretty fun. The water is very good against the Volcanion deck. The fire was really good against the new Lurantis item lock deck people are getting excited about. And the Jolteon's in there to cover the Mega Rayquaza, Yveltal. It made Shaman's 1-hit KOs with just 1 water energy, which was pretty cool. So that's kind of what this deck and the idea is supposed to be. So in this deck, you're running 3 EVs, 2 and 2 of the Flareon Jolteons, 4 Psyducks, 4 Golducks. I ran a 1-in-1 line of the Remoraid Octillery. I thought that was enough, and there was actually only 1 game where the Octillery was prized. Every other game I was able to get them out by turn 2 or 3. So a 1-in-1 line of that should be fine. The real MVP of this deck, honestly, was Starmie. His ability lets you discard a card before you attack to get 2 water energy from your discard pile back into your hand, basically letting you attack every turn with your Golduck, ditching the maximum amount of 2 energies out of your hand every turn. If you're playing against a deck that's not weak to fire, you could just pitch the Flareons. You can pitch the EVs. You can pitch any card in your hand at the time that's just not going to help you out to get you the 2 water you need, so you can start doing maximum amount of damage. It does play 3 of the dive balls, mostly because those don't get you every single card in the deck, but it gets you close to every single card. And then it plays 4 of the level balls, which does get you every single card in the deck. All the guys have 90 hit points or less, so that lets you fish out whatever you need at the moment. Lets you set up your EVs a lot earlier. It plays 2 Professor Letters. Those are more for the early game. Get out 2 of the water energy you need so you can attack. It also thins the deck out of the energy so you don't draw them on your turn. It plays 1 Super Rod. That was more in there for the Pokemon themselves. I hardly ever used it to get anything but Pokemon. I'd put back in like a Golduck and a Psyduck line, or one time I think I put the Octillery back in there along with a Golduck and a Psyduck. And then you just fish them right back out with the level ball or the dive ball, depending on what you need. It plays 4 Trainer's Mails, which is pretty standard for most decks. Just lets you dive down into the deck, no pun intended, to get whatever item you need. 4 versus Seekers, pretty standard. That could have probably got dropped down to 3, just because you're not playing as many supporters so that your Octillery is firing off every turn. So if you did drop that down to 3, it wouldn't kill the deck. 3 Silent Labs, that was kind of in there more for the Gardevoir matchup or the Mega Mewtwo matchup, so that if you go first and you can drop that first turn, hopefully they don't replace it, and then it'll stall them so they don't, Ultra Ball the Shaymins or the Hoopas or whatever it is they're playing. Most of those guys have abilities, so it just kind of stalled them out a little bit. 2 Lysanders is pretty standard. 3 Ends and 4 Professors. I play 7 Draw Supporters because I like to open hand them. Just kind of speeds the deck up a decent amount. But you could drop the End to 2. A lot of people do. I played 1 Floatstone in here, and that was just kind of to get the Octillery back onto the bench if they Lysander him out for whatever reason and just don't knock him out. And I even put it on the Starmie once, I believe, to bring him back right away so I didn't have to waste an energy to retreat. I play 1 of the Special Energy, Splash Energy. You put that on the Golduck. I put it on him quite a few times, and when it got knocked out, I'd just bring it back into my hand and then evolve one of the Psyducks that was on the bench into the Golduck that just came back to my hand. So not a terrible card. You didn't want to draw it very often though, because you can't pitch it to Double Jet, so it's not going to help you with your 120 damage attack. So 1 of it was fine, I believe. Also played 9 Water Energy. I felt that was enough. I drew them enough times that I wasn't like, oh man, I should have more. But if you wanted to up the account by 1 or 2, it wouldn't kill the deck at all. So overall, this was the deck. There are probably a couple other cards you could squeeze into here. Teammates might have worked. Your guys do get knocked out quite a bit, so being able to grab 2 cards that you need right away to help you just start attacking again next turn. If you can find room for those, that would have been cool, I'm sure. Staryu could probably go up to a 2-2 line. Like I said, that guy was pretty MVP. I would hate to see him prized right away and not draw him. He was pretty key to this deck. What else? You could up Dive Ball to 4 if you really felt you needed to. I think 3 was fine. There wasn't really a time that I didn't have some sort of Pokeball in my hand to get them out, whether it was the Level Ball or the Dive Ball. So, pretty close to a relatively optimal build, I believe. There are a few changes here and there to fit your playstyle or things like that, but this was a pretty good build. And I did make top 8 at our local tournament, so it wasn't terrible. There was 20 people in the tournament itself, so getting top 8 with the budget deck is pretty nice. Onto the pricing. So this deck is actually very budget, like most people are saying. Your most expensive card is a regular Versus Seeker on TCG Player right now. As of recording this video, those were $6.69, so that's where actually most of your money is going. The next biggest card was the Trainer's Mail regular. Those ones are running $325. Another biggie was the Octillery. He was $247. So from these like 3 right here, that's pretty much all of your money. I think ends were like $1.25 or something like that. But overall, the total for this deck was $65.73 if you bought every single card off of TCG Player at its lowest price. But for the most part, most of you guys should have all of these cards. Professors, Ends, Lysanders, all that good stuff. So if you already have most of the cards, the Golducks were $1. So just $5 or $6 and you have yourself a new fun budget deck. Alright, so my thoughts on this deck overall, I'll rate them out of 10. As far as playability goes, I would say this thing is a 7 out of 10. You can build this, go to your locals, top 8, have some fun with it. It was a very, very fun deck. So you can go have some fun, kind of reinvigorate yourself a little bit with, and just get yourself away from the monotony of playing the same deck every week, whether you're playing, Gardevoir or Mega Ray or whatever it is you're playing. playing something new, something a little goofy and a little fun. This would definitely reinvigorate that factor back into your Pokemon playing. Overall, I'd say this is probably a 7 out of 10. It might do well at a locals, but it sure as heck isn't going to win your regionals or nationals or worlds or whatever. At least not with this build. Hopefully someone can prove me wrong and make this deck awesome and, you know, win the Anaheim regionals that's coming up with it. But overall, I'd say a solid 7 out of 10. Competitive ability. Overall, the fun, I'd probably say more 8, 8.5. I had a lot of fun dropping a Golduck, dropping a Jolteon, and getting a couple of quick knockouts on Shaymins. The one plant deck I did play against, dropping Flareon on it and just one-shotting everything was pretty goofy, especially with the Starmie's, just getting all your energies back and pitching them out to knock one-hit KO everything. Very, very fun. And like I said, a very, very cheap deck too. So if you do go out and you do build this deck, remember, stick to your locals. It'll play a lot better there. You'll do a lot better at a locals versus a much bigger tournament. But most importantly, you'll have fun with this deck. It is great. I would recommend this deck to anyone who is on a budget and wants to do decent at their locals. But anyways, that's your deck. That's our honest review on it right now. Look for many more to come. Hopefully we'll have one next week also. Get to play in a local tournament or online. And the Sun and Moon cards will be out then, so we'll have a lot more of the Sun and Moon budget decks. Honest reviews on those. But anyways, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you thought about the deck, what you would change to the deck yourself, or if anyone else around you happened to have built this deck and is doing well with it. That'd be great to know too. Other than that, Coconut signing out, and we will see you next time.